Hey everyone, welcome back to the page. Today we're going to be making a lamb and vegetable stir fry. For the sake of time in the video, we already dehusked our yellow onion and our garlic cloves. First ingredients, the lamb meatballs themselves. They're a little large for a stir fry, but we will be breaking them up once they're cooked up in the stir fry. Then we have red bell pepper, honeycrisp apple, garlic and chives, yellow onion, full rack of asparagus. We're going to be using the heads, not the woody parts. Lemon for zest and garnishing. And we're using pork fat today for our fat in the dish. First, we're going to start off by heating up our cast iron skillet, about a medium-high heat, and putting the fat in the dish. Alright, on to the chopping the ingredients while that melts. We're not going to use the root ends of the chives. I'm going to chop these all up. This adds some nice sweet onion flavor to the dish and a little bit of pretty garnish, because who doesn't like a nice looking meal? Set those off to the side. Then we're going to crush up our garlic cloves. Easiest way is to flip the knife on its side, then crush these as you can see, and then chop them up to a nice little mince. We're going to cut these nice and small because we don't want to be tasting these or chewing on these in the dish, but we do want to be tasting the flavor of them. Set those off to the side. Then we're going to be moving on to our honeycrisp apple. As there is a lot of citrus in this dish, we do want to counteract that with the nice sweet sugars of the apple. We're going to use about 2/3 of the apple itself and set it aside. Get these nice chopped up and cubed. And again, set those off to the side. Next for our red bell pepper. My wife isn't a huge fan of red bell pepper, so we're only going to use half of this. We are going to set the rest to the side and bag it up for later use. We like to puree it and use it in our quesadilla or taco mix. So we're going to cut these up into thin spears. Take the rinds out. And once we're done cutting this up, we're also going to set these off to the side on our cutting board. Now that the fat's nice and melted down, we're going to mix that up and start putting the lamb meatballs in, get them nice and brown. The pork fat adds a nice sweet, almost smoky flavor to the meat, which is awesome and delicious, especially for a dish like this. Onto our yellow onion. I'm going to use about half of this because we are only feeding myself and my wife tonight. There's no need to absolutely fill this thing with onions. We will set that to the side and bag it for later use in another dish. And set those off to the side. Now for the asparagus. Again, we're going to use just the heads, not the woody parts. Set those to the side. And for the lemon, we're going to quarter this lemon up. Half of it's going to go right on the meat, and the other half is going to go on the vegetables once they're in the dish. The other lemon is going to be used for zesting and then quartered for garnishing on the plate afterwards. If we want more lemon, we have it, but if you don't want it, you don't have it in the dish already. Now the meatballs are nice and browned on one side. We're going to flip them all over and get them nice evenly browned on the other side. On to zesting our other lemon. I'm going to get these in nice and early before the vegetables and let these really render down so you don't really notice it in the final dish, but it does add that little bit of zest. Pretty though, right? Now on to even more citrus. I'm going to squeeze 2 of the quarters of lemon right on the lamb itself. Lemon and lamb just seem to go together. Must be a Greek thing. Now the meat is browned and the lemon is in. We're going to get the vegetables in the dish. I have a little too many vegetables on my cutting board for the sake of not spilling. I'm going to get some of these off before I dump the board into the pan itself. and into the pan with the rest of the vegetables. In go the apples, the onions, peppers, and garlic, and in for the second half of the lemon. I'll squeeze that all over the vegetables. And then in typical stir-fry fashion, we're gonna stir everything up, get everything nice and incorporated, mixed up and even in the pan, so everything starts to cook down. Turn the heat down a little bit because it is quite hot in that pan and the cast iron holds the heat very well. So now we're going to quarter our other lemon and set those aside for later on in plating. While that cooks down, we got a little bit of time to kill, so we're going to start cleaning up our cooking area, throwing away our used vegetables and bagging up the vegetables that we'll be using at a later date. Now that that's all cleaned up, we're going to start adding our dry seasonings. That's dill, crushed red pepper, and salt. Simple enough. We like the crushed sea salt. There is quite a bit going on in this dish, so you can be a little bit generous. Also, salt always brings out all that good flavor. Moving on to the dill. Again, quite a lot going on in this dish, so you can have a little bit of a heavy hand and it's not going to hurt anything. And crushed red pepper, because we like spice in this house. And back to typical stir-fry fashion, we're gonna stir everything up. Get all those flavors incorporated, mixed around. Get all the veggies that have been cooking on the bottom up top, and all of the veggies that haven't quite cooked on the top, and get them to the bottom. You can see the apples starting to soften up and brown even a little bit. The asparagus is getting a darker green, it means it's cooking well, and the onion is starting to saute a little bit. So we're gonna turn the heat down even more because this dish is getting towards the end of its cook. And we're going to let all those flavors blend. Again, we're going to use this time to kind of clean up this area. The stove got a little bit of oil on it from the spatter, so we're going to wipe that all up and make sure our cooking area is nice and clean. Back to stir frying. This meal smells absolutely delicious, and it is almost done. So now that's just about done. We've got the heat on low. We've got our plates seated for me and my wife. Got the lemons on the plate. I like lemon added. She doesn't, but I figure I'd give her the option if she'd like some more. So we're going to turn our heat off, and we're going to get this skillet plated. As you can see, this dish took me on the videos about 9 or 10 minutes. All in all, from cutting the vegetables to putting it on the plate, it took me about 22 minutes. So quick, simple, easy to make dish on a weeknight. Full of flavor, very healthy option. And it just looks beautiful. Look at those colors. So I'm going to save myself a little bit for lunch at work tomorrow. And there you have it. Lamb and vegetable stir fry. Heavy on the lemon, but you certainly can't taste it. Thanks for watching, guys.